Welcome to Business Ninjas, brought to you by WriteForMe, where you'll hear from business leaders who are out there growing their business and slaying it every day. Learn from the masters. Let's get started.
Hey everybody, welcome back for another episode of Business Ninjas. This is Kelsey here today with Scott Spence. He's the Global Director of Marketing at Fundsquire. Scott, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Kelsey.
So Scott, tell me a little bit about yourself.
So we were just joking about how difficult this question is to answer, but it's not too hard. Look, I'm originally from Sydney, Australia, and I moved here. I'm in Toronto. I moved to Toronto in late 2016. On the personal front, I have a young daughter who just turned a year old. I play a lot of golf. I used to play drums in a band, so that's, I guess, the three useful facts about me. On the career side of it, I guess my career can kind of be split between two periods in a way. There's kind of the pre-MBA and the post-MBA. That was in 2015. I finished that, so I don't have, from a marketing perspective, perhaps a typical marketing career as maybe people in other marketing leadership roles might have. Initially I worked as a media analyst. I was in operations at University of Sydney. I've done policy research, and then I worked in marketing and communications for the University of Sydney for 6 or so years. Post MBA, I kind of switched careers, or maybe started one, depending on how you'd like to phrase that. But I followed my interest more in, I guess, economics, finance, and ultimately in building a business. So I worked as a prop trader, trading equities and futures, both in Sydney and then here in Toronto for a year or two. And then the opportunity to start this business with Fundsquire and with Damien came about in late 2017. So I've been with Fundsquire since then, which we're getting on to, I guess, 5 years now. Initially, I was the managing director of the Canadian business, so I touched kind of all aspects of that growing company, and I've been the global director of marketing for 18 months now. So I'm in a pretty unique position, I think, in that, I've been here for quite a long time, but also across a wide range of things in the business. I've got quite a deep understanding of how the company works, as well as our customers.
Mm-hmm. So I'm sure that experience, and that journey really brought you to Fundsquire. So tell me what is Fundsquire?
Yeah, Fundsquire is a fintech that offers non-dilutive capital to early stage businesses, startups, and small and SMEs. Generally speaking, we serve customers that are technology businesses, they're science or R&D heavy, and they're generally growing companies. We're in Australia, the UK, and Canada, so we've got 3 offices across those countries, and we're around 60 or so people now.
Mm-hmm. So define what a growing business means. How many people would be in the company to be a good fit to work with Fundsquire?
Sure. So when we think about growth, or we think about verticals or target market, we're generally talking about companies that have raised money of some description. So they might be seed sort of stage through to Series A, post Series A. So there's a lot of different companies in that range, but that's generally how we look at it. Okay. We also work with revenue generating businesses that essentially don't want to dilute equity to grow further.
Okay, interesting. So tell me a little bit more about Fundsquire and what you can do to support companies.
Yeah, sure. So basically, if I was to put it in one sentence, we offer businesses an alternative source of funding. So typically startups will look for money from VCs, banks, government grants, family and friends, angel investors, etc. That process with all those different capital providers can be difficult. There's elements of perhaps luck, there's elements of stage of business, of growth, of new, multiple metrics, all of that type of thing. And businesses navigate that funding growth, I guess, life cycle differently depending on who they are, and the nature of their business. Given the current fundraising environment, it's even more difficult for businesses to raise that sort of money. So what we do is essentially offer non-dilutive capital, that is debt or a loan. We do that based on R&D tax credits, grants, or future revenue. We can have that money into our customers' hands in as little as 5 to 10 days.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. So that, explains why the experience that you have and the experience that, your other co-founders have make it so beneficial for Fundsquire to have the experience, backing leadership that it does.
Yeah, exactly. I think Damien and Rowan have a different background to me. Damien's the founder, CEO, and Rowan's the COO now. He did run the initial UK business. More of a finance-heavy background, traditional finance background for both of those two, whereas I come in with, the more marketing background, which is why I've moved into that role as the business has grown over time.
So talking about marketing, with your marketing, what does your strategy look like at Fundsquire?
It's a good question. So just give me a second here. Look, we think about the business and our origination in terms of different channels, and then who owns those channels, and what kind of activities, strategies, tactics do we do along, to maximize those channels. From the marketing point of view, a lot of my focus is essentially on digital and then in person. So we look, if I was to define it broadly, where our customers are. We put content together, speaking to our customers, where they're going to be anyway. We're quite a niche business. Our search volume isn't particularly high. So we have to be where they are rather than manufacture it, if that makes sense. Paid plays part of a role, but again, because we are so niche and because we are offering a type of financing that perhaps isn't super well known in the market, and products that aren't super well known, paid, in our experience, doesn't work perhaps as well as it might in B2C. So there's the digital side of it, and that's a big channel for us. And the in-person marketing, now that everyone's back from COVID, is important for us. We do a lot of events, we speak at a lot of conferences, we do a lot of webinars. It's not so much in person, but it's putting ourselves out there in market, in the ecosystem.
And I think that's important too, because you said you are in such a niche industry, correct?
Yeah, I think our broader markets, there's a lot of small businesses and startups. But as far as whether our products fix them at the exact moment when they need it in their funding cycle is a different story. So our market's quite big. It's just a matter of finding the right customers and then finding us when they need it, or before they need it, ideally.
Yeah, right. So talk to me a little bit about what the engagement looks like from when a potential client would begin to work with Fundsquire on. What does that look like?
Yeah, so broadly speaking, especially from a digital customer, they come in via our website. They're going to click on a contact form. A SDR will reach out to them, organize a call, and do that kind of deep dive to essentially establish if they're qualified for what we're doing, and then more broadly, I think, to learn about them as a company. Given the type of products that we offer, there's a piece to our, I think, sales process around really understanding the business, caring about the business, and being able to, fit with what they're trying to do, essentially.
Talk to me a little bit more about the products that Fundsquire offers.
Yeah, sure. So we offer three separate products. First one's R&D funding or R&D financing. So that is essentially a loan against a future tax credit, which is receivable from the government. The second is a grant funding product, which is similar. If you have a grant that you are going to receive payment for in the future, we can lend against that, so then business can get that process started earlier than what they might otherwise. And the final is a revenue-based financing product, which is pretty well known these days.
So I'm not sure if this is a silly question. I know there's no such thing. However, you were talking about, having the UK-based company, the Toronto-based company. Is Fundsquire an international company then that you can offer lending to anyone?
We can only do it in the three countries where we're located.
Okay.
So Australia, the UK, Canada. We're not actually working with businesses in the US yet.
Okay.
It's on the roadmap.
Okay. I wanted to make sure I was listening to that correctly and making sure, putting all the points together, because that's a very important note. Okay, so Australia, the UK, and then Canada. Nice. So talk to me about how you've been able to, you talked a little bit about, your marketing, about building your brand. How else have you, other than kind of digitally and, in person, worked to educate prospective customers?
I mean, a big part of that is content, I think. I know you said not digitally, but that's the world I live in. So
no, it is. Talk to me.
Yeah. I think you segment customers or prospects or the market based on, I think, their intent when they're coming to you from a search perspective. So we try and put together content that speaks to those different intent queries, or those and then try and answer the questions relevant to that stage. I think so. On our own website, there's a lot of content aimed at financial literacy, funding options, different types of funding and financing, what they do, startup life cycle stuff, like quite fundamental startup funding things. The next level into that is product specific deep dives. So we do guides on our three products. We do different guides on tax credits in general, grants in general, to provide that more in-depth information. And then I think the next thing in the pipeline is more, we'd love to start doing deeper pieces of content. So things like white papers, things like that, deep market research, given that we're in the three countries, we have access to these markets, etc. So that's all on the roadmap. I think alongside that, we do some thought leadership pieces. I'd really love to get more of that done. We've just been so focused on growth this year. I mean, we grew 300 and something% already this year. So it's just been pedal to the metal on growth.
Yeah, sweet. So I actually was talking with someone not that long ago that said it takes about 10 hours worth of engagement and interfacing in order to make that sale, statistically speaking. And I think that, your point of writing these guides, writing these blogs, it's important to continue to build that brand awareness and get the name out there. So, as this person had said, you reach those 10 hours of interfacing.
So is that a customer has 10 hours interfacing with a brand, or is that?
That's what he said. Yeah. He was like at least, it's like, so another statistic, I love data. The National Sales Executive Association released data saying that 80% of sales are completed within the 5th and the 12th point of contact. So needing those extra pieces of content, it sounds like, you certainly see the benefit of having that content, of being able to build that awareness to get the sales cycle.
Oh, most definitely. I think if I was to look at a fully built out customer lifecycle communication plan, we'd be doing a bunch of sales enablement along the way as well. I think given the size of our company, and like I said, we've just been 100% growth focused. We haven't quite gotten to that yet, but I think I think using content through the customer journey is super valuable, and we definitely see the value here.
Yeah. One point that I wanted to bring up too is congratulations on growing. I think you said what, 350%?
It's somewhere in that realm.
That's fantastic. Yeah. So what, like, is there a specific like special sauce that you can attribute, this growth to? Is there, I know it's impossible to point out any one thing, but how have you, Damien, and I think it said Justin?
Rowan,
not even close.
Rowan from Ireland.
Damien. Okay, so Damien, Rowan, and Scott. What is it that has you've been able to scale Fundsquire to the way, specifically in this last year?
Yeah, I think first things first, it's hiring the team around what was a small core. So over the course of those years, we grew to kind of 10 people quite quickly, and then we held there for a while. And in the last 18 months, we've gone from that 10 to 60 people. So we've got the core leadership team, we've got the core pieces in place to have build that business around that initial idea and that small team to start with. Secondly to that, and speaking specifically on the marketing side, I think we spent quite a bit of time late last year and early this year doing the work you need to do from a fundamental foundational point of view around revision, what worked, what didn't, marketing plan, updating marketing plan, brand revision, tone of voice, all of that sort of stuff. Deeply looking at ideal customers, ideal customer profiles, customer pain points, all of that sort of thing. And it's probably, given that I was maybe 3-4 months into the role then, it was the first time we really went through that exercise. And it really changed the way we marketed the business and really informed the tactics we used after that. I think fundamentally, as far as how I operate and how I've got the team to operate here is fail often and fail cheap, as a saying, either that saying or something similar to it goes. There's a lot of testing. There's a lot of ideas that get brought up, explored, and put on the back burner because, to be honest, I think if the idea was any good, both myself and the company and the team would see the value in it and finish it. So, I mean, you might say that I'm a procrastinator, but I tend to think if an idea is good, I think you are attracted to it and you put resources into it because it's good, rather than just finishing something because you started it. I think that comes maybe from my trading days where we used to make 500 or 1,000 trades a day. You're wrong 500 or 1,000 times a day. So it really builds this idea of not holding on to your ideas, of not being attached, like quitting and cutting as quickly as you can and moving on to the next thing. So for me, if we have an idea, we see that it's working, we put resources into it, we can scale it, we can grow it across our 3 businesses. If not, cut it onto the next thing. I think it takes, my team don't tell me this, but I think they get annoyed sometimes because I have them start a lot of things that they don't, we don't finish, but at the same time, we obviously finish a lot of things and get a lot done.
Well, it's obviously been successful for you, so, but no, it sounds like a lot of, what you can attribute the success to is being patient, being explicit, and being intentional. Kind of those are the 3 things that I think I heard from you there.
Most definitely. I think too often leave CEOs just say, we want to grow. Go for it, marketing team. And then the teams run some ads and throw some content together without putting together, I think, that foundational work. I'm quite deliberate in how I like to work. I like a strategy to work on. And I think you get the best results out of everybody by doing that.
You can't cross the line if you don't know where the line is.
Exactly. I mean, it's very easy to spend a lot of money in marketing without especially if you're not pointed in the right direction. So
Exactly.
test a lot, do it as cheap as you can, get the data you need,
Yeah.
and then pile into it when it's working.
Yeah, fantastic. That's great advice. So, Scott, if you were to leave our listeners with one piece of information, a little nugget either about Fundsquire, about the industry, the space, what would it be?
That's a good question. Marketing people or my market. I think if I was to speak to marketing people specifically, I would say it's just to reiterate that last point. It's to take the time to figure out exactly what you're going to do, and take the time to articulate that to your leaders at the company. Make sure they have the buy-in in your strategy and that they support the timeline that you're working on. So if you have a 6-month or 12-month timeline and they're looking at you after 2 months saying, where's the results? Point them back to what they've already agreed to, that we agreed to this plan. It's somewhat difficult conversation to have, but I think it's important to have it. I think the tenure of marketing people is quite short, especially at a CMO level. They're in and out of jobs quite quickly. So being deliberate in your actions, I think getting the buy-in from everyone in the business around what you're doing is important. I mean, of course, results matter, right? So it's that fine line. Look for quick wins early and continue building. I think is how most people operate in this industry. Well, they should anyway, in my opinion.
Yeah, right. Well, Scott, this has been a fantastic conversation. I love kind of talking about, what Fundsquire can do specifically for like the science and the tech companies, and really transforming like financial literacy and really assisting, startups and companies looking for that funding. I think it's been fantastic, and I really appreciate you being on Business Ninjas today.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. It's been great.